Welcome back to the Fragrance Andrew Tate channel. Today we're going to be doing keep only one fragrance for life from 12 designer brands. This is always a tricky topic because people are different at each stage of life. At this point of time, I would choose these individual fragrances, but then another month or another year from now, things could completely change. But I think this video will be useful for you to know what I think are some of the best scents from each of these brands. Maybe you'll go and check out every single one of these if you're looking to explore any of these houses. So let's begin. Our brand Atrium Fragrance's next release will be Mr. Momentum, a happy-go-lucky mint passion fruit blue fragrance which is versatile for all age groups. To get a bottle within the limited pre-order window, which is 5 days at the end of July, make sure you click on the link in the description below to reserve your bottle. Thank you. The House of Yves Saint Laurent, a brand that used to be a lot more creative and is now creatively bankrupt. They are now focused on making flankers for their Y line or their very uninspiring MYSLF line. In the olden days, they had great releases like Jazz or Oud M7 Absolu or Rive Gauche as well. The original Nuit as well is legendary, and now again they just make flankers of that once great line. If Bleu Électrique was not discontinued, I would pick that as my fragrance for life from YSL, but it pretty much is everywhere around the world now. I think I don't really see it anymore being available, which is very sad because it's incredible. If you can get it, get it. But seeing as that's probably discontinued, I would choose this fragrance, the original YSL L'Homme. YSL L'Homme is one of the most handsome daytime fragrances you'll ever smell. Ginger is a very warm, spicy note with a fresh, piercing aspect to it. It's a very distinct note that once you smell it in perfumes, you know it can work really nicely, usually balanced out with woody ambers in a lot of fragrances, which is done here perfectly. This is bright with the citruses, very handsome, smooth, not long lasting, 4 hours longevity, but I think the scent profile is a 10 out of 10. Definitely perfect fragrance. So if you want a very safe blind buy, as long as you don't mind the performance issues, and you want a university or workplace fragrance, this is pretty much perfect for any man. The brand of Giorgio Armani. I will say this brand, again, is creatively bankrupt, but they're generally quite good for getting beginner-friendly, mature-smelling fragrances. The Acqua di Gio line is kind of boring, so my fragrance for life will not be from there. The Armani code line is very old as well, but I think this flanker makes this line modern. And that is Armani Code Parfum. This is the fragrance that makes Giorgio Armani relevant. This is a very good flanker. It is very smooth, modernized Armani Code, creamy tonka, citruses, some lavender in here, a bit of powdery iris. It smells dark, yet very clean and sophisticated, like a tall, dark, handsome man who's wearing a dark suit, but in the daytime is how I would imagine Armani Code Parfum being worn. It has maturity, but it's still easy to understand, easy to like, but it's not boring. It has enough complexity to make this a great fragrance to have in pretty much anyone's collection. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. The brand of Jean-Paul Gaultier, a brand that specializes in youthful, sexy fragrances. If you like loud, fun scents most of the time, that's what you're going to get from the brand. However, this is the fragrance I think that has the most artistic merits. That is Le Mal Le Parfum. This fragrance takes the original Le Mal and makes it more modern and more sophisticated. It has that lavender and vanilla combination, combines it with the romantic cardamom, which is a very earthy, spicy note, which can make any fragrance smell romantic, really. And then it has a hint of animalic notes in here that people don't talk about, as well as this powdery iris in a very subtle way, a subtle touch, making this a multifaceted, really dark, romantic, handsome, slightly mature date night fragrance. One of the best evening scents out there with fantastic performance for at least 8 to 10 hours longevity with a medium projection. One of the best from Jean-Paul Gaultier, and I still think it stands the test of time. I think this will be a very relevant fragrance for many years to come. The brand of Dolce&Gabbana, very Italian, usually quite bright, fresh, handsome, Mediterranean smelling. The main lines are going to be the One line and the light blue line. My fragrance choice would be light blue Eau Intense. This is a big sentimental value for me as an individual. It got great performance. It has gonna be a lot of compliments, and I just think this scent profile is iconic. Light blue Intense takes the original light blue, makes it a bit more smooth, less peppery, longer lasting, overall making a very salty, oceanic, musky fragrance that is handsome once again. My 4 life fragrances generally have to be handsome, it seems. That seems to be my main criteria. The brand of Versace, where Giorgio Armani might be beginner-friendly, mature perfumery, this is beginner beginner-friendly, more youthful perfumery. You can make an entire collection just using Versace and have a variety of occasions where you can wear their fragrances. Some old school stuff which is quite cool and affordable, like the Dreamer and Blue jeans, and more modern stuff that's a little bit overdone, like Eros, but I would pick this fragrance. Versace Pour Homme. A handsome, masculine classic by Alberto Morillas. Citruses, neroli, musks, a little bit aquatic, bright. It smells like summer in a bottle, but at the same time it smells like a generic handsome man in a bottle as well. I feel like any guy could rock this in the office, for example, all year round, or as a gym scent, or just as an errand scent. Even though it's more suited for the warm weather, it feels like one of those fragrances that just feels like an everyday scent. So yes, I know I keep using the word handsome too much in my videos, guys, but it describes the scent perfectly. Come on now. It lasts about 4 to 6 hours with a medium projection as well. The brand of Prada. This is a very elegant house, usually specializing in soapy fragrances, elegant, uplifting fragrances, although they've taken a turn recently with the Ocean line, in my opinion, kind of going more into that mainstream effect, which I don't like. However, this is one of their greats of all time. And of course, it is Prada L'Homme Intense. I always talk about this fragrance on the channel. I have to talk about it because it's one of the best iris fragrances ever made. If you want a signature to wear outside of the summertime, all year round, other than that, you have a great performing fragrance, dark iris, elegant, distinct perfumery with a hint of tonka and a leather that's very easy to like, very subtle, making a very unique blend here that just smells like elegance, like allure, like mystery, but it has enough brightness here as well to be worn in the daytime, as long as you don't go too heavy on the trigger. 10 hours longevity with a medium projection. I need to have this in my collection just because I feel like evening iris perfumery is not my usual style. You're not going to see Dior Homme Intense in this list, for example, but I feel like this is the only fragrance that really does that for me. And I think pretty much every man needs to try out iris perfumery properly. You either like the daytime clean iris, like in Prada L'Homme, the original, or you like it more as an evening scent, like in, let's say, Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. The brand of Hermes. Elegance, sophisticated, never too overly stated. It's a very relaxed and, let's say, minimalist kind of scent profile in their brands. Of course, the original Terre d'Hermes is a masterpiece. Jean-Claude Ellender has made a lot of fragrances for Hermes. He is one of the best perfumers ever in the industry. However, I wouldn't put the original Terre d'Hermes anymore because maybe I smell it a lot too much now, and I know it's heavily reformulated. If it wasn't so reformulated, I definitely would have picked it actually for this list, but nowadays I'm really enjoying this. That is Terre d'Hermes Au Givre. This takes the sophistication, the class, the elegance of the original Terre d'Hermes, freshens it up, makes it a bit more simple, but it doesn't make it boring. This is one of the most refreshing fragrances you'll ever smell. If you want a classy, slightly mature spring and summer fragrance that just smells extremely well blended, the perfumer did a great job of continuing Jean-Claude Ellender's legacy. This feels like it blends into the Terre d'Hermes line really well. You wouldn't even think this was a different perfumer, and I think this does a great job in replacing the now discontinued Eau Très Fresh. That was a great flanker, but this is a very good replacement. It smells like a lime grapefruit soda with a dry, crisp vetiver in here that overall makes a very easy to like, refreshing DNA. I get 6 to 8 hours longevity as well for how refreshing this fragrance is. That's very impressive. I feel like this is just thick, substantial, very well blended. I'm really impressed by the perfumer and the perfumery here. In the house of Guerlain, I will say Guerlain can be questionable as to whether or not that's designer, but let's just say they're designer for the sake of this video. Guerlain is very French, very elegant, usually quite powdery, and they love almond. If you like the notes of almond, go for Guerlain. You'll see it in their L'Homme Idéal line all over the place. L'Homme Idéal is a line in general. I never quite liked most of their fragrances. I felt that, yes, objectively, they're very good and they have a lot of artistic merit, but they were never usually my style. For example, I never jumped on the Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum hype, even though Jeremy hyped it to death.
Love it very much, got compliments for that one. Girls told me I smell sexy, awesome, and definitely different than what they are used to smell on guys.
I actually discovered this fragrance more later on and I fell in love with it. That is L'Homme Idéal Extreme. This is more balanced than the other L'Homme Idéals. It still has an almond, but it's more of a balanced amber, Coca-Cola, boozy scent with a plum note in here, some leather, some tobacco, a lot of things going on, but it's just very easy to like. If you like something like Dolce&Gabbana's The One Eau de Parfum, but you want to upgrade something a little bit more complicated, this is the fragrance to go for. 6 hours longevity with a soft to medium projection. I think it used to be more beastly, apparently. I'm not sure in the older bottle, so it's a shame I didn't check out this flanker sooner. That's the problem. A lot of people don't talk about this flanker. They focus on the Eau de Parfum a little bit too much. I think more people should focus on this. This is a very easy to like, easy to wear date night fragrance. The brand of Tom Ford. I'm going to focus on their signature line because that's more designer-esque. Now, Tom Ford used to be a lot more creative as well. Unfortunately, more of the recent releases in the signature line is just them rebranding their private blend fragrances like Café Rose, for example. And they also take their classic names in the signature line like Grey Vetiver and make it a Parfum version. This fragrance here, I feel like is a classic, and I just love the creativity in this fragrance. And that is Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. You should try this fragrance to understand how really strange notes can be used in perfumery. Kulfi is a dairy, dessert, pistachio-esque food item that is just not really used in perfumes ever apart from here. So it's a very rare scent to ever experience in fragrances. Here they make it very sweet, gourmand, delectable. It has some florals, vanilla. It's a dark fragrance, patchouli as well. So overall, you get this very exotic smelling, unique, seductive date night fragrance that you don't really get anywhere else. This is a very unique character to Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. 8 hours longevity with a soft projection. Wear this mainly in the cold weather, but just for the creative merit, you need to try this fragrance. The brand of Chanel is also French, it's also elegant, but it's a bit more mainstream friendly than Guerlain. Chanel, to me, it just feels like the perfect gifting brand. If you want a very safe but expensive smelling gift, this is what you go for. The safe option for men is Bleu de Chanel. The safe option for women would be something like Chance, Eau Tendre, Eau de Parfum. However, I'm not choosing Bleu de Chanel in this video for once. I'm actually trying something else, and that is Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Every time I smell this fragrance from the lid, I'm reminded just how perfect this is. It has that Chanel elegance. It has the brightness of the lemon in here, but it's smooth, creamy, it smells expensive. It has these woods, this lavender in here, whilst also being balanced out by a hint of vanilla. It feels like the perfect lemon fragrance that can never be beaten, in my opinion. 6 hours longevity, which is good enough for me. It's an expensive fragrance, but I definitely think this is one of Chanel's best. My for life from this brand is gonna be tricky. It's always gonna be a tough choice between this and Bleu de Chanel. Both great scents, but I'm really liking this, maybe because it's warm weather. Every man should try this for the summertime. The brand of Maison Margiela. I will say that this is a designer brand, but their fragrances are actually more on the niche side of things. But hey, let's just count them as designer. The replica line is a little bit boring though, in my opinion. It feels like, yes, I have an artistic idea behind it, but the execution just isn't that great, in my opinion. I feel like the replica line is probably a bit overpriced, often too synthetic, and probably pretty much always leans more on the feminine side. However, there are two fragrances I really think the brand does well, and I think number 2 for the brand for me is By the Fireplace. It's an artistic evening fragrance, but it can be a little bit cloying. My number 1 in this brand is Maison Margiela's Jazz Club. So they're replicating a jazz club. There's boozy notes, ambers, some tobacco in here, spices, very balanced, woody, handsome overall. So this is one of the rare occasions of being more of a masculine fragrance in the replica line. 6 hours longevity with a soft projection. Again, this is just one of the sexiest evening fragrances a man can rock. It has complexity, but it's still easy to like. It gets everything just perfectly balanced. This is an easy choice as a for life fragrance in this brand. I just think it blows everything else out the water, really. And lastly, the brand of Dior. French and elegant, but unlike Chanel, I feel like Dior, when they make a masculine fragrance, they really lean more into the masculine side of things. It feels a little bit more intense and bold with Dior. Although, again, I feel like Dior could be more creative nowadays. They have innovated the industry many times, including recently. But I will always go back to this classic from them, and that is the original Fahrenheit Eau de Toilette. I love the style of this fragrance. It is unapologetic. It comes from a different era, and it just suits me and my style. I feel like this could be a very sexy bad boy-esque fragrance, as well as a sexy CEO office fragrance. It's leathery, fiery, it's got that petroleum that it's known for. It's a little bit green and long lasting, but it never feels too thick. It has a perfect balance to it. Even in the summertime, I enjoy wearing this fragrance, although all the other seasons are probably its best seasons to wear this, but this is just a beautiful signature. If you are a guy who likes an unapologetically masculine signature scent that gets the class and balance just right, then Fahrenheit, the original, is a classic. That's why, to me, it just has a certain allure that makes me gravitate to this over all their other creations, even though they made some fantastic other scents as well. And that concludes this video, guys. Would you like me to do a similar idea but with 12 niche brands? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. And also, let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the choices I made in these brands here as my one for life from each house. Which would you choose instead if you disagree with me? If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our recent 10 summer fragrances for life video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.